time, the day is ending with the setting of the sun. Holy time, the day has ended, now the Sabbath has begun. I can feel the blessings falling, sanctifying heart and mind. I can hear the Spirit calling me from care to holy time. Holy time, now God is with us. I can feel His presence near.
Happy Sabbath. It is a joy to be in the open portal once more. I don't know about you, but I am so happy that the Lord has spared my life. And I'm certain that you are happy that He has spared yours as well. You know, as I'm listening to this music by Neville Peters, all the way from the Bahamas, reminding us that it is holy time. And when our life here on earth would have ended, then all that we need to know is to ensure, rather, that our soul salvation is intact with Jesus. Happy Sabbath to all of you, and I hope you are doing well. We are in our studios. You know, last week was the first of its kind when we were celebrating our 4 years, our 4th year of anniversary. We've been in existence for a very long time in the mind of our CEO and our head cook and bottle washer, Brother Michael Williams. I'm so happy to share this platform with him and all the other servants who serve here with us. We want to say happy Sabbath to all of you. And I want to be very specific this evening because I know that we have people from all across the Caribbean zooming in on our platform, the Flashpoint Media Ministries and the Flashpoint Media pages. I want to say welcome. If you're from Guyana, we want to say welcome. If you're from the Bahamas, we want to say welcome. If you're from Trinidad and Tobago, we want to say welcome to you. If you are from Barbados, I know I could not forget saying that. If you're from Jamaica, we want to say welcome. How about our friends in North America, Canada and USA? We want to say welcome. We want to welcome all of you. And if I'm forgetting a country, if I'm forgetting your location, please feel free to comment in our chat so we can interact with you, so we can have a chat with you. Just like every other time in the portals, I have told you that God is like that heavenly orchestrator, and He is leading this world. Day 1, He is orchestrating. Day 2, He is orchestrating. Day 4, He is orchestrating. Day 5, He is orchestrating. Day 6, He is orchestrating. And day 7, He rests. Not because He was tired, not because He never had anything to do, or not because He was just doing random stuff. He rested because He sanctified and He have made the Sabbath day holy, so you and I can enjoy it. The music, we can enjoy the music of what the Lord has been playing on our hearts. This evening in the open portal, we are keeping things positive. The music, we are keeping things very, very positive. I know there are other times in the portal where we talk about stuff that are not so comfortable. But this evening we'll be talking about a positive a positive topic this evening, and I have invited some folks all from from yonder, and a little later, not long from now, I will introduce them. And I'm hoping that you will give them the flashpoint welcome. You will let them feel welcome. And I also want to let you know that we have launched Caribbean Connect, Caribbean with a K. And we have different young people, young professionals from all across the Caribbean galvanized in one space. And we are on the mission for the Lord because we are cognizant that the Lord is coming again. I'm happy that it is Sabbath. I could not wait. And I want to say thanks to all of you who have celebrated with us and are still celebrating your well wishes, the greetings, and the text messages of the same that you have sent to us. We really appreciate them. We appreciate you. For all subscribers who have subscribed to our pages and have been following the content that we make daily, we want to say thank you. For our VIP members, both old and new, we want to say thank you, thank you. So yeah, so this evening we'll be talking about godly dating. And by inadvertently, I'm really saying that if we are doing it the godly way, then you will be able to identify the ungodly way. Sometimes we focus so much on the negative that we don't even reemphasize the positive. And I'm trying to say that tonight we'll be looking at the green flags. We'll be looking at the green flags. And by looking at the green flags, we are also identifying the red flags. But we want to keep it positive. We want to keep it holy. We want to keep it healthy. And we want to keep it friendly. But I'm also cognizant that it's also Black History Month. And just before I go into the same, I just want to introduce our guest this evening. First, we have Tamara Nerville. She is from the beautiful island of Barbados. Yeah, the Web Cinco biscuit people. I learned that recently that they are the one responsible for the great Shirley that I enjoyed so much. I thought that Shirley was a Jamaican product, but I'm sorry for all the Bajan, the folks who don't say rather bread and cheese, but cheese and bread. Tamara, I met her recently, and she is an ardent Seventh-day Adventist youth who was born, raised, and bred in the country of Barbados. Tamara, at present, she is a third-year nursing student, and she enjoys singing. She enjoys, spending time on adventures. She is a family person. She is family oriented. She's a woman of God, and I want to welcome her to Flashpoint and the world as we talk about godly dating. And just before I go to Tamara and ask her to say something, I also want to introduce my other guests this evening, Dominic Broom. I wanted to laugh at his name because where I'm from, whenever you heard anything about broom, then you are thinking about sweeping. But we will be sweeping the red flags away, and we'll be embracing the green flags. What are they? What do they look like? Oh, do I know that the flag that I have is a green flag? And so I don't know much about Dominic, but what I have heard is that he himself is an ardent Seventh-day Adventist youth. He loves the Lord, and he is very adventurous as well. He likes to be a part of initiatives that are uplifting and one that embrace holistic health and development. Ladies and gentlemen, without no further ado, for the first time on our platform, two Bajans. Good evening, Tamara.
Good evening. Hi.
Happy Sabbath. How are you
Ha-
doing this evening?
Happy Sabbath. I'm fine. How are you?
Thank you for asking. I am tired, but I am glad it is Sabbath because I'm getting a chance to rest.
Let's praise God for that.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Timira, don't go too far. Dominic, good evening and happy Sabbath to you, my friend.
Hi, good evening. Happy Sabbath, everybody.
Yeah, man, good evening. Dominic, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. Have you subscribed to Flashpoint as yet?
The YouTube channel?
All right, Dominic, I think you need to reconnect because I'm getting some feedback from you. So let me just go to Timira. Let me just go to. I think I'm getting some noise in your background. So let me just go to Timira, and when it is okay, my producer will signal to me, and I will talk to you. Is that okay? All right. So Timira, uh, yeah, what do you enjoy most about the Sabbath?
Oh, I enjoy everything, but you asked me what I enjoy most, so I can say what I enjoy most. I just love the fact that I get to rest. Like as you said before, I'm a nursing student, and being a nursing student is very demanding. It is a lot of work that I have to retain, a lot of information that is given each day. So I love the fact that I could just relax and take the time to spend even more time with God. So yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Let me try. Dominic, are you there? All right, Dominic is sorting out his sound. As soon as he gets back, then we'll have a chat with the man from Barbados. Now, Tamira, when we welcome our guests here, not just in the open portal, but on Flashpoint, we want them to let down their hair. We want them to feel comfortable. This is a safe space. And so we'll ask you just a series of questions. They are opinionated, so don't feel pressured. It's what you really like. So it goes like this. It goes like this. AY or Bible class, which do you prefer more or most?
I prefer a way.
All right, you prefer AY. All right, Sabbath school or Pathfinder.
Um, I'm not in Pathfinders anymore, so I would have to say Sabbath school.
So you're gonna say Sabbath school. You're a singer, so
Yeah.
I have to set you up. Hymns or contemporary gospels.
Oh, that's a good one. I prefer hymns. We can go with hymns.
You prefer hymns. Uh,
Yeah.
Baptisms or baby christenings.
Baptisms.
Baptisms. All right.
Yeah.
All right. A saint that died in Christ or a saint that got married.
A saint that died in Christ or a saint that got married. A saint that got married.
A saint that got married. All right.
Yeah.
We say you're not into the debt. You're into life and for richer for richer.
Yeah.
All right. So we wanna welcome you to the portal. Let me see if Dominic is back. Dominic, are you back?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me better now?
Perfect. There goes the man from Barbados. Dominic, good evening and happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath to you as well.
All right, man. Were you hearing the questions that I was asking Tamira?
Yes, I were. Yes, I was. Yes, I
All right.
was.
Here goes. Here goes. No, Dominic. AY or uh, Sabbath school?
I would say AY.
You'd say AY. Bible class or Pathfinder?
Pathfinders.
Pathfinders. Sunday night meetings or Wednesday night?
Sunday night.
Sunday night. Contemporary hymns or no, contemporary gospels rather or hymns.
I prefer the hymns more.
You prefer the hymns more. All right, all right, all right. There you. There, well, hold on. Baptisms or baby christenings?
Baptisms, of course.
Baptism. A saint that died in Christ or a saint that got married?
That's an interesting one. um, I will go with a saint I got married.
All right, all right. So I have one question for Timira, and I want you to answer the same. Timira, who has the better KFC, Jamaica or Barbados?
Barbados all the way.
Dominic, I suppose your answer is going to be Barbados too.
Of course.
Well, you haven't been to Jamaica, you haven't tasted our chicken, so you can't make an informed decision. So you'd have to go to Jamaica first, then you make your decision, sir.
Fair enough. My
All right.
biases will always be in Barbados though, but always give it a
Definitely,
try.
definitely. All right, all right, all right. So, Dominic, we will be looking at the subject this evening, godly dating, and we are not just looking at godly dating. We're also looking at the green green flags. Dominic, when you see the term godly dating, what comes to mind? Like, what is your ideology of godly dating? How do we date godly?
Well, to me, godly dating is when you are engaging in the activity of finding a life partner
Mm-hmm.
ordained by God and through the messages and principles of God.
Principles.
Following the concept
Mm-hmm.
of not being unequally yoked, ensuring that you go step by step, ensure that you have the boundaries that you need so you do not go and commit fornication,
Mm-hmm.
and ensure that both parties are growing spiritually as
Mm-hmm.
well as emotionally and physically.
Right.
That to me is what godly dating is.
All right. Timira, do you agree?
Yes, I do.
All right. So, but then you have to tell me why you agree.
Um, well, as Dominic said, I also believe that godly dating, it should be a relationship that honors God. Um, I think that when we are doing godly dating, we should reflect the Bible, and we should want to replicate the love that God showed in His Word. So I think that godly dating reflects the Bible and the principles that God laid out in His Bible for us to follow.
All right. So, as we are looking at the subject, and I want to be a little bit more intimate and more personal with the subject. And might I add that you guys are not obligated to speak on areas of this subject that you are uncomfortable. So if you wish not to speak on a particular question, then you are at liberty not to speak on it. But as we look at dating, with my understanding, and I'll give my piece. I think godly dating um, is more so finding purpose, you know, amongst the opposite sex, finding purpose together, because dating, as it were, is really just getting to know. Is really just getting to know. And when you find purpose, then it realigns vision, it realigns principles, and it complements goals as well. Because the truth is, I am not going to get to know a young lady if already or principles are far fetched, meaning that she's not a Christian, she's not a believer of God, more so a Seventh day Adventist Christian. So if I'm getting to know you from the perspective of just getting to know you, then as Dominic pointed out earlier about fornication, you don't get to know somebody while fornicating. So I think I think when we get to know persons is really more to understand their mindset, to understand their goals, their vision in life, just to see if they are anything in common. Now, when you move further now to the courtships, I really think that you guys are really on point. But I think what you're describing is courtship, right? Because when you really date, is really to get to know each other. Now, Dominic, as a young man, how important it is for young men to find, do you believe that young men should first find their purposes in life before seeking a life partner? If so, why?
I would say yes, I believe that as a young man, we need to find our purpose in life
Mm-hmm.
before we seek a partner. And my reasoning is that we always want to remember Adam was an individual by himself before God decided to give him Eve. Adam lived a life by himself before God decided to say, okay, you are alone, let me give you a wife.
Uh-huh.
Which shows me that as a young man, we need to find our own individuality, our own identity as a Christian before we can expect to be in a relationship with a young lady. Because as a young man, the Lord ordained us to be the head of the household and to lead and guide our family toward heaven. And to be able to do that, we need to be ready in these early stages now to find that purpose, as you said, before we go about and do the Lord's work.
Definitely, definitely. We don't want Tamira to get uncomfortable because she's a part of us. Tamira, how important it is uh, for women to understand who they are in an ever-changing world, that they are the matriarch of this world. Women rocks the cradle. They are the one that nurtures. How important? So essentially, what I'm asking, how important it is for women who are seeking to be married or seeking to be uh, starting a family. How important it is for women to understand who they are before finding a family. And I'll tell you why I phrase the question like that when you answer. Tamira? All right, I'm not getting I'm not getting Tamira. So I want to go back to even the point that Dominic made mention of, and I'm in agreement with you, sir. You're such a brilliant young man, and I want to say happy Sabbath to my friend from Agape Trio, Abigail Brown. She's watching from Guyana. Happy Sabbath, Doc, and I hope you have your questions to ask us. Happy Sabbath, Cassandra, my friend, as well. And happy Sabbath to all of you who are in the chat. Send the link, send your questions, because we are going deeper with this topic. So, if you realize what Dominic made mention of, that before God placed Eve in the garden, in the Garden of Eden, God would have given Adam his purpose, his identity, resources. Adam had a job, he had a house, he was rich, so he had everything. And Dominic brought it home when he said, that he had a place to stay and he spent enough time with himself. The problems that we find in dating relationships or courtships or even in marriages today, is that persons would have not found their purposes. Persons would not even enjoy the gift of singleness, because there are a lot of folks out there who think that marriage is the ultimate form of happiness and singleness is a curse. No, 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 no. I believe that happiness should be shared, because if you are going into a conjugal relationships thinking that the other person will make you happy, then it is connoting that you yourself is not happy. And so you got to be happy before you get yourself entangled in the same. And watch this: Adam spent enough time with himself, that so much so that he knew that one of the animals wasn't for him, one of the beasts of the field wasn't for him. And so at no point we find in scripture, though Adam was lonely, he was saying, hey, maybe I could maybe try to be with one of the lionesses or try to be with one of the ants. No. He knew that none of those beasts were bones of his bones. Um, and so as we move on, we are looking at green flags, and or anchor text tonight is First John 4, uh, First John 4:19. But as we also look at the fact that we're going through Black History Month, and I'm coming to you shortly, Dominic, we cannot have this conversation, Dominic, without looking at how the 400 years of oppression have affected not just the world, but particularly the black community. And I believe that the effects of the 400 years of oppression would have caused many of the problems that we are having today in the black community. For example, when you look at marriage in the black community, when you look at marriage in the black community, historically, black Americans aged 35 and older had higher marriage rates than white Americans from 1890 until 19, to the 1960s. In 2023, I want to be coherent here with the information. Only 31% of black Americans were married compared to 48% of all Americans. Half, 50% of black Americans had never been married. And while the figure was 34% for all Americans, fewer black women are currently married. More have been married at least once compared to black men. This is due to higher divorce and widowhood rates among black women. In 2023, 49% of black women had never been married, up from 44% in 2008 and 42.7% in 2005. The numbers keep climbing. And so while it is very delicate to put our hand on slavery to say that the reason why the black community is what it is, it's very delicate. But how could we not look at it from the perspective? And I'm taking it back. I'm taking it back soon to the conversation of green flags, Dominic. But I must save our listeners this addendum. I must give them this preamble, because how could we not look at it from the perspective when families in the black community were always separated? And I learned earlier today that because it was so expensive for plantations owner to buy slaves, what they'll do, they will buy the strongest of women and men, and they will put them together to produce. And so even the very children that they would have, they would work as slaves. And when they are of age, they would separate the family. We've always been separated. We are traumatized. We've always been disjointed. And this is my foolish theory. I believe because of the 400 years of oppression, because of what our forefathers had to endure, because of what we always have to deal with, I believe that some of the trauma would have been passed down even to the black community today. Dominic, do you agree with me?
Yes, I would say a lot of the issues that happened during the slavery time period that does impact black people to know.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the rage, a lot of the segregation, a lot of the mindsets that we have now, and how we raise our children, how we raise and how we interact with our fellow black people as well, is all stems from how the slavery played out. Because back in the day, the white oppressors really spent a lot of energy trying to put the black people against each other, always in conflict, so that one person wouldn't be too loyal to another person, etc., etc. And I think that slowly passed down in over the generations to this day and age, where it's rare to see a black family with everybody talking to each other. There's always somebody that don't like this person in the same family, because there's always this separation, this toxicity that we see in the families today. So I
Mm.
do think it does impact us. To what extent, that is to be studied, but to me, I do believe it does impact us.
Wow, wow, definitely, definite, Dominic. So let us take it a little bit more personal. What are some, I mean, to your understanding and how you understand it, what is a green flag? And that's part one. And tell me some of the green flags that you are readily looking for in the young lady that you will ultimately choose to be your wife, Dominic.
Well, for me, a green flag is a quality that makes you seem to be the best candidate for me to marry, for lack of better terms.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, a green flag is something that'll tell me, yes, this is a definite yes. In a no, in a maybe, in a doubt is a yes. That's what a green flags are to me. And green flags I'll look for myself personally,
Mm-hmm.
is one, obviously, a woman of God who trusts God and listens to what God wants her to do in her life
Mm-hmm.
and lives the word of the Lord. Two, a lady with a sense of emotional and spiritual maturity as well, because in relationships there's a level of communication and a level of intimacy that we need. And if you're not mature enough for that, that's not going to work. It's always going to have problems. And then third as well, a lady who is very good at communication is one thing that I would find as a green flag for me. Those are the three main ones I have right now.
Okay. So, Timira, is she back as yet?
I am back. Yeah, I'm here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Man, you missed so much of the conversation. I don't know if you heard the earlier question that we've asked, how important it is for women to understand the role that they play in a society, meaning that they are the matriarch of society. They are the nurturer. They are the one that rocks the cradle. They are the one that help to shape the society. How important it is for a woman to first understand that her first role in society is to be a nurturer. How important it is for a woman to understand that before she enters a relationship.
I would say that it's very important for a woman to know that she's a nurturer because God created women to be nurturers. When He created Adam and Eve, we obviously know that Adam was there first, and then Eve came to be that backbone for Adam. Um, I would say, in my opinion, that are women are it's God, and then there's a man, and then there's a woman. Sometimes in this society, women want to be God, and women wants to be the man, and they don't understand that we are there to support men. We're there to help uplift men. We're there to make sure that a man is fulfilling his role as it comes to living for God, if you want to put it that way.
Definitely, 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 definitely. Appreciate that. I want to keep it safe tonight. And if if you agree with me, then let me know. I'm going to use the Bible's definition of a green flag for the benefit of those who are listening. And I also want to say welcome to those who are listening on or a radio or internet radio. Our producer is over there, is monitoring. I want to say big up to Mikey G for keeping things locked on the radio as well. So this program is being aired on the radio as well as our YouTube pages. And we are just everywhere. Now watch this. 1 Corinthians 13 verse 4 to 5. Now listen to me and listen to me carefully. If it is that what you consider to be a green flag or some green flags that you're looking for, if it's not extrapolated from the context of 1 Corinthians 13 4 to 5, then man, we may have to relook and we may have to revise earlier. We may have to ensure that we get some of these things in our wish on our wish list and in our books, in diaries for women. Now 1 Corinthians 13 4 to 5 says that love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrong. Now, if I were to go with just the first three words, love is patient, and if you realize what is happening there, is now working as the verb. Love is patient, and is an auxiliary verb. These are state of being verbs. So as long as there is love, what it is saying, there should always be patience. So green flags, as it were, you must be patient. You must be patient. Love is kind, right? So you can't go into a relationship, courting, and you're unkind. People who are selfish should not be in relationships. As a matter of fact, they should be on a world by themselves. It does not envy, right? Can't be envious. There are so many relationships today that would become ravishing relationships or ravishing marriages if folks weren't envying each other. Can you imagine how could you be sleeping on the same pillow but yet envy each other? It does not boast. right? It is not proud. There's no time in the Bible where the word proud has been used and it has been used in a good context. It does not dishonor others. So it can't be that I'm in a godly marriage or I'm in a godly courtship or dating, but I am only honoring the person that I'm with, but yet I'm dishonoring others. And if you are in a relationship where you have to watch how they treat others, watch how they treat their moms, watch how they treat their dads, watch how they treat people, right? Because it's not long from now that they are going to do the very same thing with you. It's not easily angered. It's not easily angered. And it keeps no record of wrongs. Dominic, you've heard 1 Corinthians 13, 4 to 5. Are you adding more stuff to your green list or to your wish list?
Um, well, First Corinthians 13 is actually one of my favorite Bible verses. It's actually my favorite chapter, and I study it a lot. I even wrote a sermon on it a while back as well. And I will say that when I said in my wish list that she should be a woman of God, First Corinthians 13 was a part of it. Because to me, First Corinthians 13, the love chapter, is teaching us how to be a Christian as well. Because if you look at it, it doesn't list any really emotions. It lists characteristics. It
Right.
lists things that we need to practice, actions that we need to conduct in our life. And to me, love is like a lifestyle that we need to live daily. Which is why the Lord asks us to be loving, to love our neighbors, to love our enemies, to do all these things, because it's a lifestyle. It's not something we could just miraculously do anymore and just get like, yeah, let me just love everybody. It's something we practice. It's something that we do daily, and something we can only achieve through God. Which is why, if everyone's wish list is to have a man or woman of God, everything in First Corinthians 13 should always follow that umbrella as well, because it is the main purpose.
Wow. Definitely, definitely. Timira, as we reiterated earlier, that we are looking at the positives tonight. And so we will not be talking about the relationships that are not working. For the ones that you are aware of and are working, why do you think those relationships or marriages are working?
We just spoke about 1 Corinthians 13. I believe that relationships are working because they adhere to 1 Corinthians 13. We all know that relationships aren't perfect. We were born in a world of sin. I am a sinner. I will have a partner who is also going to be a sinner.
Yeah.
So when we forgive and when we forgive and we have to portray these things that 1 Corinthians said that we have to do. So I believe that relationships are that persons are doing that. They're living out these characteristics. They're holding no grudges. They hold no record of wrong. They are loving. They're portraying these characters that 1 Corinthians said that we should. And I also want to add that 1 Corinthians, as Dominic said, it is not only for relationships or dating. This is something that we should be doing in our friendships and day-to-day interactions with our colleagues. So once we live these characteristics in our daily lives, not even thinking about relationships, things are much easier and things flow better, and we we build these characteristics, and we build relationships based off these characteristics because it's something we are accustomed to living out.
All right. Thank you so much, Timira. Thank you for your contribution. And I just want to pull from both of what you have said and what our friend Dominic has said. You cannot have godly dating or godly marriages without the Bible. It is very it is very unwise to have the word godly or to have God in what you are doing, but then the Bible is not a part of what you do. You are setting up yourself for failure. And as Timira reiterated or emphasized, that you have to forgive. The story is known of old couple. It's a real story. I won't call the names. And the question was asked, what kept you guys together for so long, for so many years, not just so long, but so young and so fresh, is that the woman said that her husband made a pledge that each time he would say something that was disrespectful or hurtful or have done something that would have hurt her feelings, he would have walked a mile. And now, everybody started to laugh. But then the question was also asked to her, but what keep you so young? I mean, your husband looks young because he walks or walked the mile. But, what keeps you young, to the lady? She said, I followed him to ensure that it is done. so even so even those are the things in marriages. I mean, I'm not married, and I am not. Yeah, this session is not a marriage counsel session. But what I believe, and this is my conviction, that healthy singles make good couples. Healthy singles make good couples. Dominic, what are the top 3 things that your wife to be must have? And this is a single man, a young man, and he's now telling the world the top 3. And I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, my friend. What are the top 3 things that this woman must have in order for you to consider a conjugal relationship with this woman?
Well, number one is she should have a strong developing relationship with the Lord, and a loving character, so that she can have the patience and the kindness, because I am a lot to deal with and I'm ready. So I would need someone to be patient with me. I might really have to do what I have to do. Secondly, I would want someone who is studious, someone that puts effort into what they do, because one of the main issues we have as young people now is that we're very lazy. We don't like to put a lot of effort in stuff. When things get too hard, we like to pull back. So the second thing we need is someone who doesn't matter what is happening, she can push through it. She has that conviction that, yes, Dominic is the one that the Lord showed me, so I can stick with he. No matter how Dominic is or what Dominic does, I stand with Dominic, because that will definitely prove to me that you are supposed to be help me, that the Lord promised me.
Definitely.
And thirdly, I would want someone who is
Think about it.
peaceful and calm. So I had to think about that one a little harder, but peaceful and calm.
Peaceful.
And
That's
will I
4,
say
you know.
this?
Dominic, that's 4.
Huh? That's 4? Oh, my bad. I was just listening more. My bad.
But that's fine, and that's fine, unless you're saying peaceful 1A and calm 1B.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right, man. All right. So I just got news that my producer just told me that Shanice from Jamaica is online, and Shanice will not be able to share her video, but she will share her audio. Shanice, welcome to the Open Portal and welcome to Flashpoint Media.
Thank you. Happy Sabbath. Good night.
Good night. What took you so long to join?
I've been here. I've been listening to the discussion. I've been enjoying and learning.
All right. So we want to keep you in. So talk to us. What is a green flag to you based on your understanding and how you are seeing it? And what are some green flags?
Okay, so for me, a green flag is any character, personality trait that is Christ-like,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm interested in someone and I'm seeing where that person is humble, if they are compassionate,
Mm-hmm.
if it's someone that takes their relationship with Christ seriously, then that's a green flag for me,
Right.
right? Um, And I also listed some of my green flags. So those three. A green flag also for me is someone that loves to pray.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people say, "Oh, I talk to God," but what do you consider talking to God? You know, you just get up in the morning and say, "Thank you, God, for everything that you've done for me." You move along. That's not a perfect life.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I would. That's a green flag for me. So someone that's compassionate, humble, has a strong connection with Christ,
Mm-hmm.
loves the Bible, loves to pray. You know, when you can look at the person and say, this person is a true Christian, that's a green flag.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much, Shanice. And we are going to go for a break very soon, but I want to put some questions out there, and any one of you can take it on. But I want you to listen carefully. Now that we have made mention of all the things that we are looking for, because definitely our topic is godly dating, green flags. And all of the green flags that I've heard so far, they are connected to that of godliness. Now, with the understanding, with the understanding that we do have limitations, unfortunately, because of our nature. We are sinners. Here's the question, and I don't want you to answer the question as yet. Here are the questions I do have. And while my very good producer is looking to play something wonderful for our folks that are joining, hey, ask your question, like, share, and subscribe. We are getting deeper in this conversation. And if you are listening on the radio side, send your questions to the VIP chat and we will be certain to answer them. Watch this. All of the green flags that I have heard so far, they are connected to godliness as it should. Here's the question. Here are the questions. Here are the questions. Hold for it, hold for it, hold for it. Here, even if you're in Barbados or Jamaica, hold for it. Watch this, watch this. How do I see value in the person that I will ultimately date or marry in spite of their limitations? Let me go again, let me go slowly. How do I see value in the person that I will ultimately date to get married? Because for me, we are dating to get married. We're not just dating because it's cool to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. We are dating with intentions to get married. How do I then see value in this person who may not necessarily possess all the traits of the green flags that we've just made mention of? That's one question. Here's the other question. If we are Christian, does this mean that we must work? Or even if you have traits that I like and I have written down in my diary, does this mean that we must get married? All these questions we will be answering right on the other side of this break. If you're just joining us, welcome to the Open Portal. I am Pastor Markino, and I am talking to three beautiful young people, and Timiria, Dominic, and Shanice. And right now we are discussing godly dating, and we are looking at green flags. We soon come.
From the east to Let the anthem rise up. Let the song ring
right.
out. Let the ground now tremble as we raise a shout. Let the anthem rise up.
All right. Welcome back to the open portal. If you are just joining us, we have heard some beautiful music just now. And we are having, I believe, a very good discussion so far. And I am talking to three beautiful individuals: Shanice from Jamaica, both Tamira and Dominic from Barbados. Now, guys, I would ask you to share the link. Do not be so selfish. These are young people, and we we want to hear from our young people because they are the future of tomorrow's world, and they will be the leaders and the managers and the CEOs of their own lives, and even some companies that we like to shop from. Now, what is more important is that we get an understanding of where the young minds are. Because if you see where the young minds are, you really see where the future is. Now, guys, you welcome back to the open portal, and thanks again for being here. You heard the questions I've asked before the intermission. I asked based on the fact that we are dealing with green flags. This is the part of the conversation where everybody wants good things. These, green flag is really a go. But the fact, that we are dealing with real life, we're dealing with real people, people with limitations, people with habits, people with addictions, people with traumas, people with their own biases, their own interpretation of what is godly and what is right. Because everybody looks at First Corinthians, but then everybody has their own interpretation of what is good, what is godly. Everybody wants what is good, but how then do we see value, against the background of people's limitation in wanting our green flags to be in the persons that we are ultimately looking to be with forever? Anybody would like to answer, to tackle that one? Panel? Shanice?
If you could just repeat, you asked how do we see value in?
How do we see value? Meaning, how do we see good things in the person that will ultimately married, irrespective of their flaws? Because I'm certain that the person that you will ultimately marry is not perfect, because you made mention of the things that they must have, right? But they do also have limitations against the background that they are not perfect. How do I see value in the person that that embrace the very same green flags that we are looking for? Understood the question? If not, I'll phrase it a different way.
I can go first if that's not a problem. For me personally, I believe that the one way we can see value in our relationships is if God is showing us who we are supposed to marry. Now, this is very important because if you look through the Bible, if you look at Hosea as one of the best examples, he married someone with many flaws
I don't
because
think
of
that
who
was one of the
God.
best examples, but I think it's a good example.
Anyway, it's an example of God sending someone and showing someone do something.
I get you, man. I'm
And
just messing
Hosea
with you.
did find value in her because
Definitely.
he spent money on her to bring her back to him.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
she converted and became one of the best prophets wives you could ever imagine.
Right, right,
Another
right.
example too, if you same Adam and Eve example,
Uh-huh.
Adam never knew he needed Eve until God gave him one.
Mm-hmm.
God is who decided Adam was ready for one. And I think as we go about looking for a partner for our lives, we need to let God guide us. And that's the most important part.
Right.
A lot of us often let our feelings, attractions, people tell us who to marry, but not let God tell us. And God is ultimately the person who's supposed to show us who has for us to marry. And once God shows you that person, then you can see value in that person because God told you that that is the person that I have for you. Despite what flaws you may see, this is the person who I value as God to value you and for you to value them. I think that's how we will look at it.
Definitely. Anybody else want to add to the deliberations? Tamira.
Next, I just want to add to what Dominic said.
Mm-hmm.
So the what we first need to realize when we are pursuing or dating is that no one is perfect. We all
Mm-hmm.
have flaws,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we need to be open-minded. We need to communicate well.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can do that and we can see the growth, like you can see the growth in each other. We're not stuck at this one spot. So, for instance, a partner will have an attribute that I'm not necessarily comfortable with. And if I can say, hey, I'm not necessarily comfortable with that, and you don't see where they're making an effort to kind of well, let me not say change, but to make it a little bit more comfortable for you,
Mm-hmm.
then there's always going to be a problem.
This is
Then resentment will develop, and there's nothing to gather from that. There's nowhere to go from there.
right.
But if we can understand each other, have really good communication, and we can see where we can grow together and understanding each other's flaws and overcoming them,
Mm-hmm.
not letting them be a burden, of course, in addition to what Dominic says, then we can see the value in each other. There will always be limitations. Again, nobody's perfect.
Right.
You won't find all the attributes that you're looking for in a person in any one person. They won't have it. So if that's what we're looking for to get married, then we're gonna be single forever,
but
right?
but
But
Shanice,
if
do you know?
right,
I'm laughing, and not to cut you, but a part of your response is also, I believe, it's opening grounds for polygamy because you just said that we'll not find, which is true, all the things that we are looking for in one person. It is very
right?
suggestive. If I
Oh
can't,
no, maybe I should have phrased it differently then. Definitely not. That's not what we. That's not where we're going,
okay,
right?
okay,
So let's just clear that up.
definitely.
But what I'm saying is, if God says that this is your person,
Mm-hmm.
right? That one person will not have, because we all have our list that we jot down. You know,
Definitely, definitely.
things that we're looking for. We think we want it, but God knows that's not what we want. Or God knows that's not what's best for us,
Definitely.
right? So we have those things jotted down, and we're saying, "Oh, this is what I want." But when you find the person, they may not have all of those things, but because God is saying, "This is your person," He's made this person for you, and He knows what's best for you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Then that's where you see the value.
Definitely, definitely. Now here's my next question, Timira. Uh, and I may go deeper because I'm keeping it real and I'm keeping it jiggy. Now, if the person, because what is also evident is that the flaw could be a red flag. That very flaw that you're describing could be a red flag, right? Now, should we condemn or write off people because their flaws are not befitting for us or our desire? Should we just say, okay, but remember again, because what I have seen in the church, help me, Holy Ghost, what I've seen in the church, because that person is not the best person for me, we treat the person as though the person is no longer a part of the body of Christ. And we have written off the person just because the relationship did not work. Let me slow down. Let me take my time in this portal here. What I believe, the person may not be best for you, but the person may be good for someone else. So when the Lord says that he will restore better in this context, I believe better is now relative to your green flags and to your desire. Because we are very biased with our prayers. Our very prayers are, Lord, he must look like this, she must look like this, she must has this, and he must have that, and devil knows what. So I'm saying the very flaw could be a red flag, or it is a red flag. Should we write off persons just because the relationship failed? Timira.
I will say no, but I want to first start by saying that you see these lists and all these things that we as young people have. Oh, he must be dark, and he must be this, and he must be that, and he must have all these things that we are. She may have this, and she. We need to get rid of that. If we are following Christ and we are asking God to lead us to a partner, we need to be open-minded and understand that it is not our will, but it is God's will. He knows what is best for us. He knows who is best for us. Because as you rightly said, I may meet a guy and we get along great at first and everything is going good. He's a Christian. He's a man of God. He may have positions or so. He lives for God. But that man might not be the man for me. So we clash in different areas. So I must know, I must remember that, you know what? I don't want this. This is not what I want. This is not suited for me. So it's my responsibility to know, you know what? I must get myself out of this situation and find somebody that I am more compatible with. Just because I ain't work with that man of God don't mean that this man of God isn't for me. But I believe that we as young people have to get the whole idea of all lists and he must look like that, he must look like this out of our minds. God knows best and God knows who he wants for us. And it does not make an individual a bad person if we didn't work out. He's just not for me. Or I am just not for him.
Definitely. Dominic, do you agree with Timira, and why?
I will say I do, especially what you list part. That's something that annoys me a lot whilst having conversations with my fellow young people, because they always say that he ain't no good because of this, or she ain't no good because of this, and it's like, that was the best person you ever had in your life. You just waste your opportunity because of foolishness. But I will disagree, because I also believe too that God puts us with people who test us and strengthen us.
Mercy. Take your time,
For
Dominic.
example, if this is a word example, if I struggle with patience, the Lord will give me a woman that will force me to practice my patience for the rest of my life, because I find that God has a sense of humor. I don't know about you, but I believe that God has a sense of humor. And God tends to put people in our life and put situations in our life that help strengthen us and develop us into the person that he wants us to be.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said earlier, relationships are supposed to strengthen us spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
Lord says, iron sharpens iron. So in a relationship, we need to sharpen and strengthen each other. And that is the one thing that we should look for in our relationships, that our partner is testing us or building us up in a specific area of our spiritual journey. Whether that be our prayer life, our Bible study life, our loving characteristics, any of those things. That's what I will say.
Wow. Definitely. Shanice, how important it is for us to, as best as we can, to live peaceable with all men. Because not because this person may not be compatible or we are no longer in a thing. Let us not condemn people who have hurt us, people who have written, people who may have broke our hearts. Because at the end of the day, we are Christians. God has never called anybody to be a Christian to us, but he has called us to be a Christian to everybody. And just before I take Shanice's point, Nisi Thomas says, And that is why it is important that we put God at the forefront of our decision process. It will afford us with the patience and tolerance that we need in order to deal with these flaws. She also says that we also need to remember that only God is perfect. With that being said, Shanice, what are your thoughts?
I'm sorry, repeat the question. So you
No, I'm saying earlier,
made reference to how do we
we were talking about, we were deliberating on the fact that the flaws is, they are really red flags.
right?
How do we then navigate against prior relationships that we would have been a part of, and do we write off the person? Do we say that, oh, it was the devil himself who showed up in the relationship? How do we navigate our feelings against the background that though we are not dating and we are not a thing anymore, how important it is to ensure that we don't harbor feelings, that are evil towards persons that we no longer date or court.
I don't know if I'm the best person to answer this question.
Thank you for.
Why I say that is because I'm very forgiving,
Uh-huh.
right? Forgiving to the point where my friends would say, Shanice, you have to stop. You need to just stop just letting things go so easily. And I'm saying, what's the point of holding it in? It doesn't benefit me. Why am I gonna stress about it?
Mm-hmm.
So it I'm not saying that at the point when it happens, you're not gonna hurt about it. You may cry, be depressed for a little while, but it's important for us to grow from whatever we've been through, not wallow in our depression, not just stay down, you know. And one of the ways we can use to overcome that is by um, relying on the people that we have around us. So relying on our friends, relying on our family, um, relying on God, which should have been the first thing that I said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You always find answers on how to overcome these things in the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So while it's easier said than done, but it's not impossible. You know,
Mm-hmm.
persons before us have done it, persons after us will do it. So it's just a mindset that you have to develop to know that, hey, this person has hurt me, but I'm not gonna let it define me. I'm not gonna let it hold me down.
Amen.
I have to move past it. And if I don't move past it, if I were to go into another relationship, am I gonna let it define that relationship? Then means we're not gonna go anywhere. I'm always gonna be taking my hurt everywhere I go. I'll be wearing it on my sleeve.
Mercy.
So we just have to develop that mindset. Pray about it. Ask God for help. It's not just gonna come out of thin air. Ask persons that would have gone through prior situations what they have done to overcome. How did they get through it? We have
Wow. Wow.
we have the help.
Wow.
You
I
know.
listen. We have so much to discuss. I'm looking at the time, and I just want to. There's so much to discuss on this subject, and I just want to say a few things, because while I'm going to Timira, because while Shanice and Dominic look at, the victims of those who have been heartbroken. Timira, what do we say? How do we encourage those who are perpetrators?
Can you repeat yourself? I didn't hear what you said just now.
Right. I'm saying we were looking at those who would have been victims of the same, victims of heartbreaks, uh, victims of disappointment, feeling that you were going to be the wife, feeling that you're going to be the husband, but for somehow it did not materialize, right? And so we look at one side of the coin. But I'm saying in the very same church, we always try to embrace those who have been a victim. But how do we embrace those who were the guilty party, or those who are the perpetrators? Are there any word of
Well,
advice to those persons who are?
I will say that we have to forgive. As I was saying before, that nobody's perfect, and we have to practice forgiveness. As I think it's Shanice, and she was saying she is a forgiver. She forgives very easily. I am also a forgiver. I forgive extremely easy, and persons tell me that it's not good to forgive so easily. But I think that the church lacks forgiveness. Just because that something was done to a person, it doesn't make the person doing anything a bad person. We grew up in different households, learning things differently. What I might see right or I might see normal might not be something that other individuals see normal, or they see it completely different. Oh, this is bad to me, or this is good to me. So they're just being themselves. So I think that we need to practice forgiveness and understanding. The church community needs to understand that we are not the same. And just because I may do something a particular way, or I learn about a relationship in this way, and this is how you do things, and this is how a relationship should be, that's not, it might not go the same way for the other individual.
Okay.
So that's just
So
my
you're
thing.
saying I am not my mistake.
Pardon
Definitely.
me?
So you're saying I'm not my mistake. And I meaning everybody who have been considered to be a perpetrator. I'm saying I am not my mistake.
No, you're not. Nope.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And I see Shanice have some fans here. Janice Tomlin agrees with Shanice's point. Solid point, Sister Shanice. No, I just want to summarize all of what you have said and put it in this perspective, and then I will give you all a final say. We wrap up the open portal, and with your permission, we do part 2 next week. And we'll talk off off here because I'm looking at the time, and it is Friday evening, and we are at different time zones, and so we want to keep it jiggy, we want to keep it balanced, and we want to keep it portalic. That's a word that I made up, don't come for me. No, watch this. Based on all of what you have said, I will just summarize it based on and give my own perspective as well as biblical um narrative. So I'm summarizing everything. I hear Sister Shanice that, and she made mention of forgiveness. Forgiveness is good. And we've been taught, especially in this westernized world, that we shouldn't forget, or we should forget. But I disagree with that perspective. We should not forget. As a budding psychologist, we should not forget, because if you forget what have hurt you, then you are at liberty to hurt again. You are exposed to be hurt again. Case in point, if the dog bites me at Ellie's gate, every time I pass Ellie's gate, I will remember that the dog bites me. That's how the mind works. And if I forget, and I think that's a godly thing. I think it's God, giving us wisdom how to navigate through pain and hurt. If I know that there's a biting dog at Ellie's gate, then is either I need to drive in a car past the gate, or I need to get rid of Ellie's dog. Well, you can't get rid of the dog because it's not yours. How do I navigate me? We always try to get away from or try to get the things that hurts us. But how about me managing me? How about me getting away from the dog that is biting me? So you should not forget. Not in the context of, we're keeping malice and I will never speak to this person. No, I remember because I do not want to get hurt again. We have to have wisdom. And I believe some people stay in a relationship too long. If you realize that the person keeps hurting you over and over and over, we must draw the, and I don't think that's what the panelists were saying, but I am the one putting that extra bonus on it for the listener, for the benefit of those who are listening. So that's not the impression I've gotten from my panelists, but I'm saying that we should not forget, not because we want to be malicious or be conniving, but because we are protecting ourselves from being hurt again. And if you realize that the person keeps doing the same thing over and over, then the person needs help. That person cannot cope, right? Now, the second thing that, I hear you guys talking about, God give you this, God give you that. I believe, especially for relationship, I believe that God leads. He doesn't choose for us. That's why we have free will. He leads. And the brain that he has given us with relational intelligence. Relational intelligence means that God gives, God leads me to people, and I align people according to the very spirit that God placed in me. And that's why God allows you to choose, because he has given you enough wisdom. He has given you enough Holy Spirit to choose. That's why he doesn't choose for us, because he has given us enough resources that when we decide to make a decision, we are making us righteous and a conscious decision. That's why he doesn't interfere with our choices. However, we need to trust the process, right? You making a conscious decision, that's a different argument. But I'm saying that God has given you enough to make conscious decision. If you realize that the decisions that you're making is just what you like as opposed to what God wants for you, then you are the problem, right? You being Christians doesn't mean that you will work or you must work, right? You going to the same church, you doing this, doing that, doesn't mean that you will ever work. For me, I really don't use the word compatibility again, because I've found out over time that compatibility is really vague. When we speak about compatibility, what are we really talking about? Compatibility in what? We have educational compatibility, we have financial compatibility, we have compatibility. Compatibility is really a broad topic, right? And sometimes what we desire are really selfish. And so when the closer we get to God, is easier for us to know what God has for us. And I'm saying this to say that Adam was asleep, so he didn't know what Eve looks like until he opens his eyes. He didn't know. He was asleep. He was sleeping. And right there and again, even before he introduced himself to the woman, he started flirting with the woman. Bones of my bones, flesh of my flesh. You know why? Because there was a stronger connection. There was a stronger connection. And sometimes we attract what we are. We are attracted to what we are. And so if you're looking for patience, be patient. Godly dating takes the span of our lifetime. I believe we are marital practitioners. I believe marriage is a practice. And maybe it's the first time you heard it. We are practicing because we keep learning and we keep evolving. And I want to share these few points, how we date godly. We must have a spiritual connection. You cannot have anything godly without your spirituality. That's impossible. We have to have a spiritual connection. We must have a shared faith. We are worship beings. And if you find that the person that you are about to be entangled with does not worship God, then that person worships something else, because we are worship beings. Number two, we must have a unified prayer life. I believe one of the panelists said that earlier. I heard somebody made mention of honesty, but it's not just honesty, but transparency and honesty. Honesty means that I have a flaw. Transparency means that I tell you the degree to the flaw that I have. So it's not, oh, just babe, I have a flaw. But transparency means that, I've been struggling with X and X, Y, and Z. So while it's important to be honest, it's also important to be transparent. I've liked you when I just meet you, but I still like you, but I just don't think you are going to be my life partner. And ladies, let me caution you. I'm on the men's side, no, not because I'm a man. Well, I'm I'm on the men's side not because I'm a man, but I'm on the men's side because I'm a man. I'm saying this. If you decide, ladies, that you don't want the relationship, it's fine. But if we decide that we don't want the relationship, oh, I've broken your heart. Everybody should be given the same privilege and the latitude to choose. And if the guy said that it's not going to work, for God's sake, accept it. Deal with all the emotions from there as opposed to force it. Keeping each other accountable. If I cannot keep you accountable, then we should not be courting. We should not be in a relationship. Supporting one another. I remember I was dating this young lady, and she is an ardent musician, very good at music, and I was invited to a musical gathering. I'm an ardent reader. And I'm not reading as though I was reading then. And trust me, in the middle of the concert, in the middle of the musical fest, I was there reading. I was so hooked on my book that I did not hear a sound. And while the act of reading may not be a bad thing, it translates as me not respecting her desires and what she enjoys. So you may not necessarily be good at what your partner likes or enjoys, but supporting it is very important. I see some stuff here, and God has blessed Flashpoint. Elise, she is, and I can call her name because we are good friends. She is a very good producer, and on Sundays you'll see her doing her thing. And what I've recognized, her husband is now being a part of the team. Right? And so when you are involved, when you are in love, some things goes without saying. Encourage personal growth. As Shani said earlier, none of us are perfect. And so we must encourage personal growth. Now, 1 Thessalonians 5:21 says, but test them all. Hold on to what is good. Now, whether you like it or not, the person that you will end up marrying will have a red flag. Everybody have a red flag. Everybody has something about them that you don't like. Right? But it's at the end of the day, they say that is what you can deal with. Ladies and gentlemen, the time has been far spent. It is so much to talk about green flags. And we limit ourselves to the Bible because I don't believe it gets better than the Bible. We could take different testimonials. We could take different perspective and the argument. But here is the shocking truth. There is no godly dating without God. There is no dating that can ever be done that will be so good to the point. In fact, there is no dating that can work without God. There's no relationship that can work without having first a relationship with God. Flashpointers, young people, we haven't touched dating the right person. We haven't touched dating the right person while we are both in separate countries. We didn't answer yet the question, how far is too far. We didn't look at green flags culturally. We didn't look at green flags historically. We didn't look at green flag spiritually, because all these areas are facet of our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, we have languished and we have deliberated and have elaborated on the same. I will be so kind to invite my panelists to give their last sentiments. I will say the final hurrah and we'll close the open portal for this week. But just before I do that, inspiration came and Cassandra says, can we look at having part 2, dating within or Adventist faith versus dating non-Adventist men? Hoping, and of course Cassandra is a woman, hence she said men. I suppose the men will say women. But they should say women. They must say women. Hoping they will be converted. Yes, I'm aware not being unequally yoked. This seemed to be a real issue. These are some of the questions we haven't touched. There are so many questions to touch. Our young people are hurting. Our young people, they want answers. They want reassurance. They don't know what to do. They keep holding on to toxic relationships because they have invited so many church people in their spaces. So it's so hard to let go. Facebook, Instagram has already seen 3 persons. How do I post the new one? There are so many things to talk about in the portal, but we have to move on. We have to pause for this cause. Any final words from our panelists? We'll go in the order. We'll go with Shanice. We'll go with Chimira in the middle. And of course, Dominic, my other compatriot, will finish.
Okay, so I saw a post on Instagram today, and it says, when you meet someone, always ask God to reveal their intentions and true character to you. If we start there, God, as you said earlier, God leads. If we start there, if we meet someone and we're interested in that person, automatically we feel the butterflies. We're like, oh my gosh, this person is for me. And oftentimes we forget God.
Mm-hmm.
So if we start there,
Yeah.
if we ask God, let me know, what is this person's purpose in my life? He will reveal it to us. You know, he will guide us through it. He will tell us, hey, this person is not for you, this person is for us. It's for us now not to be stubborn and not listen to what he's saying. Oftentimes we are the reason why we end up feeling hurt, depressed, disappointed, because we weren't listening to what God was saying in the first place. We want to see for ourselves. So that's what I want us to take away from our discussion.
Definitely.
Let God lead. Let
Definitely.
him be our guide. Ask him. He will let us know.
Cassandra, I'm saying Cassandra. Shanice, can I interject?
Sure.
This is my opinion. If I have to ask God to reveal that person's intention, that person is not for me. I shouldn't have to ask God to reveal the intention, because honesty means that I tell you my intention.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So if I have to go to the point where I have to ask God to say, um, reveal this person, what I'm asking God to do is to do something that the person is not willingly do, that the person should do as a mature person. Maturity means, and honesty means, that I say what my intentions are. You get where I'm coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Right, but I mean, next week, if I'm hoping that you are available, then you will turn on your camera so we can have a good discussion.
Definitely.
Definitely. All right, thank you. Timira.
I just want to leave 2 things. Number one, I want to say trust God, trust His timing,
Mm-hmm.
trust His saying, just trust God. Don't let it be your own will, but let it be God's will. That's number one. Love yourself. You are an individual by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Know who you are. Enjoy your own company. Enjoy yourself. Love on yourself. I think that the relationship first starts with you loving who you are. And then lastly, I am going to say God knows best. Ask him for discernment. Ask him for the way to which is your right way. Make sure you look for a partner who loves God, who follows God, who wants to be led by God. Because as long as you do those, as long as you look for a partner with those qualities, you should be good. And God giving you guidance and God telling you, yeah,
Definitely.
this is the person thing. Yeah.
I'm going to interject. I'm going to interject as though I have interjected on Shanice, because we didn't even touch the point that women have biological clocks and men have financial clocks. And as you said, we should trust God's timing. When you look at the other when you look at the flip side of the same coin, women are worried. Will I be able to have a marriage earlier before my biological clock shifts? Men are concerned. Will I be able to marry a woman that I can maintain? So all these questions we haven't yet touched. But Tamira, I hear you, and definitely we should trust God. Dominic.
While everyone was talking, I had so much things in my head to say, so I'll try to condense it as much as possible because I know there's a time crunch.
Yeah.
But the first thing I want to address is the comment in the chat about dating a non-Adventist person and hoping they convert and come into the faith. No, I will say, me personally, I am a product of one of those relationships because my father was not in the faith, but due to the work of the Lord, he joined in and he met my mom, and bam, 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 I was brought into this world. However, I will say that just because it worked with my case and with my parents does not mean it will work for you, or doesn't mean it will work for anyone who's listening. No, because I also know many people who tried the same thing and it backfired on them, and they end up getting outside the church. They try to bring somebody inside and end up leaving, or they try to bring somebody inside and it blow up in the face and get embarrassed. And I think that is why we need to let God lead us in our relationships. That's the most important thing. Because if God can tell you, yes, that person is Adventist, but I'm telling you that person for you because
Yeah.
that person can convert and come to you. Or yes, that person is Adventist, that's the best option for you. And I think the most important part there is to have a relationship with God. I think that is the most important thing that we need as Christians. Because when we have a relationship with God, God will guide us and God will show us what we need to do. You wouldn't need to ask God, as you say, Pastor, you wouldn't need to ask God, show me this person true colors, because because you have that relationship with God didn't even tell you that. God will guide you to your person and be like, bam, look, see this person right here? Turn left by this corner, turn right by that tree, and bam, that's the person you're supposed to marry. Instead of going to do a whole bunch of searching, God will show you directly who you need to go. Because our relationship with God is ideal. So my advice to us is to ensure that our relationship with God is strong and right before we look for someone else. And I find we skip that step. I find we look for somebody, then try to get a relationship with God right. Try to ask God, are you sure this person for me? No. If your relationship with God was right in the beginning, you wouldn't need to ask God if this person is right for you, because God will show you. God will tell boss or sweet girl, that person is for you at all. Left that part is. And the last thing I would say too is when it comes to marriage, there are two types of marriage that we Christians tend to fall into. Marriages ordained by God and marriages allowed by God. And I think we need to find ourselves in the marriages ordained by God and not the ones allowed. Because I find a lot of us end up in the allowed category and have more problems than those in the ordained category. So that's just a caution to all those listening. Be
Well,
careful who you go with, and also make sure that you solidify your relationship with God before you do anything else in your life.
listen, you guys are coming with some hot points when we are closing, and no, I think that's unfair for our listeners, because no, we woke up something in them, and no, they can't sleep. But we are hoping that next week, this time, same place, they will come to enjoy the discussion of godly dating. Inadvertently, we are talking about the positive, so you will see the negative, because we don't. Oftentimes, we always like to look at the negative to understand the positive. No, we look at genuine to identify counterfeit. We look at real to and truth. We don't look at what is false then to identify what's true. We look at what's true then to identify what's false. And so many presentation in church, the red flags and what not to do. What about what to do, or what is right? And I want to use this platform, Ellie, Richard, Michael, to let people know, to don't take it for granted that people know the green flags. Don't take it for granted that everybody knows. We emphasize the red flags so much that we have forgotten to talk about the green flags. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the name given is Markino. It has been my joy, it has been my pleasure to talk to you, not just on YouTube, not just on our radio, but right here in the studios of Flashpoint. May God bless you. May God continue to keep you. And I'll see you next week, same place, same time. Godspeed. Ta-ta. Until then.
It's a noble institution, a gift from God to man, a reflection of his fellowship with all of his creation.
An intimate encounter with loved ones and their faults, still a source for comfort, but most of all for love.
It's the origin of innocence, the birthplace of trust, a sanctuary from the cruel and unjust.
An inevitable union of different generations, brought to meet each other through the miracle of life. We believe in the family. We believe in the family. Let's find our place at the altar, consecrate our lives through the morning and evening sacrifice. We are bound.
We're bound together like a family.
The cords of love grow stronger through our unity.
By the grace of the Father,
The Spirit and the Son, we believe
we believe.
in the family.
Yeah, yeah.
Holy time, the day is ending with the setting of the sun. Holy time, the day has ended, now the Sabbath has begun. I can feel the blessings falling, sanctifying heart and mind. I can hear the Spirit calling me from care to holy time.